All right. So first of all, I'd like to say hi. Hello, good morning. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for taking the time out of your day to join us here and, get your learn on. If you're here, then there's probably one or two or maybe 10 things about your site that are kind of bugging you a little bit. Don't worry, because today we're going to take your website from broken to smoking.
Nice.
Yeah, good one. So we're going to talk about the ways that can help keep your website safe and secure. We'll help you identify some little things that are causing big problems on your site. Things like outdated plugins, malfunctioning modules, or incompatible add-ons. We'll touch on a couple techniques that you can use to make a roadmap to stay on track so you don't get bogged down with a bunch of avoidable problems. So to sum it up, today you're going to learn how security and stability issues can be caused by outdated modules or plugins, how to identify some causes of slow page speeds, and how you can kind of go about fixing them, how little content and design tweaks can have a pretty big impact to your site, and just the general importance of overall regular website maintenance. So before we get into all the nitty-gritty stuff, howdy, Neil. Just seeing you join here. So we're just getting into the intros here. My name is Kodie Beckley, but everybody here calls me K2. It's a long story. We used to have two Kodies here. Now there's only one Kodie, so the nickname doesn't make sense anymore. But oh well. I'm Cheeky Monkey's graphic designer and all-around content guy. One of the graphic designers and content guy. So my job here is to design super cool websites for people, create compelling content, engage with our audience on social, and write articles that aim to educate you while still being a little bit entertaining, so they're not too boring to read. In the past, I've worked with everyone from small one-man operations to huge multinational nonprofits doing stuff from logos, websites, business cards, billboards, vehicle wraps, a whole bunch of stuff. Fun facts about me: I've read 45 novels so far this year. I have a fleet of, I actually think it's 29 Star Wars ships at my desk right now.
Wow.
Yeah. And in my spare time, I'm probably rewatching Star Wars for the 100th time. Rick's going to start charging me rent for my ships pretty soon.
Very soon.
So with me here is Rick. Rick is our CEO and top monkey here at Cheeky Monkey. Before that, he was working down in the depths of Drupal development as an expert Drupal dev, specializing in front-end theming, JavaScript, CSS, HTML, PHP. Am I missing any other acronyms or anything there?
No, I think that's got them right now at this point. I'm sure there's a few others, but It's been a few years since I actually touched any code, so we won't brag about that too much, that's for sure.
All right. So in his role here, he's basically just responsible for making sure that the business is running smoothly, and everyone's doing what they're supposed to, so that we can just keep making great websites for people. Fun facts about him: a lot of people like to take long walks on the beach for fun, but Rick likes to run ultra marathons. Just pretty recently, he did the Sinister 7, which is a 100-mile race.
It's a long one,
yeah. 100-mile race, which, that's crazy. But then there's all the elevation, because it's right through the heart of the Rockies, too. It's pretty nuts. So I just want to preface this with a bit of a disclaimer. This is our first webinar, so if there's any hiccups or tech things, or if you hear a big barking dog in the background, or a Nerf battle strikeout or something, this is our first webinar, so just kind of bear with us if there's any hiccups like that. We're still we've done some testing before this, but you know how the universe likes to do stuff to you. So we're going to start with security today. It's pretty hard to be on the internet and not hear the word hack or hackers or data breach these days. For the past couple of years, it seems like on the news, every day there's been a new breach or security scandal. For instance, in 2018, over 380 million people had their information leaked when Marriott Hotels was hacked.
Right.
Yeah, that's a big one. 380, I mean, statistically, one of you maybe. That blows my mind. The year before that, the Equifax breach caused the compromise of over 140 million users' financial information, which is a little bit more important than hotel bookings. But then back in 2013, Yahoo was hacked and the information of 3 billion accounts was compromised, which who cares about their Yahoo account? But if you're using the same password as your Yahoo account for your banking, big deal. So security is kind of a big deal unless you really, really love dealing with the terrible fallout that comes with being loosey-goosey with your user data. So here's a quick little graphic just to sort of show you. The top of the chart is most recent. Bottom of the chart is kind of back in 2015. And the size of the kind of right in the middle there, actually, you'll see the Marriott Hotels hack I'd mentioned. So it's happening all the time to a lot of people, a lot of different places. So it's pretty spooky. So what can we do to make sure that doesn't happen to us and our users? So first things first, your updates. Unless you're Johnny on the spot with your site and your updates, I can almost guarantee that if you log into your website right now, you're probably going to see that there's an update available at the top of your Drupal or WordPress or whatever CMS you're using. Oh, now I hear the rain coming. Mm-hmm. Yep. It's really storming. So there's a few reasons that it's really crucial to be on these updates as soon as they come in. The first reason and the most obvious reason is that new updates bring new features. If you want the latest and greatest, for instance, the new Drupal 8 update coming is going to add some image stuff to the WYSIWYG editor, which is fantastic. If you don't update Drupal, you don't get that feature. Simple as that. So this holds true for your plugins as well. If your plugins are out of date, then you're not going to get the new features of the plugins. They're usually developed for the latest CMS version as well. So if you're updating your CMS or updating your plugins and not updating your CMS, you could cause compatibility issues there. So you want to make sure that everything is compatible just by making sure that you're running your updates. Secondly, updates can fix bugs. For instance, one time we had a website. We used an open source translation plugin for this website. And the site was supposed to translate between English and French. When you were on English and clicked the English translation, everything turned Dutch. There was nothing we could do on our end to fix it because it was the way that the plugin was written. So unless the only way to fix that issue would be to update the plugin with the fix, like the bug fix that the developers of the plugin make, and then install it on our site so that it solves the issue. So if you're running into weird bugs like that, make sure all your plugins are updated. The third reason, and probably the most relevant one to security, is vulnerability. Hackers look for weaknesses and loopholes and all sorts of other exploits in your web software. They're like really dedicated burglars who are super committed to breaking into your house. Sometimes it's a weakness in a plugin, or it could be a flaw in the core CMS software itself. Updates make sure that every backdoor into your website is boarded up before the bad guys get in. When a hacker or another bad actor sees an out-of-date CMS version number, it's kind of like a big neon sign saying it's easy to get into this place right over here on like that creaky window that you've never been able to board up. So make sure that you're updated so that your backdoors and your exploits and everything are all patched up. Updates are just a really simple way to help keep your site secure. There are other things to consider too. Things like input sanitization or anti-spam tools. Those can add an extra layer of security to your website as well. Even factors such as your hosting provider can affect your security. So if you see a hosting deal that's too good to be true, it probably is. I need speed, lots of speed. So I do this exercise sometimes where I take 2 Keanu Reeves movies and combine them together and imagine what they'd be like. So today we're all going to try it out. So first let's take the movie Speed. If the bus slows down, Yep. Blows up. Let's take The Matrix. Crazy computer hackers, cyberspace stuff. Mix them together. Now, the terrible nightmare situation I've just created is if your user's website loads too slow, their devices explode, which would just be awful. But It's actually not too far from the reality, is it? I mean, just think about your own browsing. If a page is taking too long to load, you're going to get impatient and you're going to close it. Your users are doing the same thing to your slow pages. Unfortunately, I don't have the secrets to change human behavior yet, so we can't change that. The only thing we can change are our page speeds. So how can we do that? So the first things first, look at your web host. Depending on who you're using, there could be some steps you should have taken before you even got your site up onto the server. Some hosts have pre-configured systems for different content management systems, which will make the initial setup much, much smoother. For instance, a hosting provider that we use all the time, Pantheon, they have different solutions specifically built for different CMSs like Drupal 7, Drupal 8, or even WordPress. When you use a Pantheon server or a similar provider to develop on, your website's on a platform that's purpose-built to give your users the best experience for the CMS you're using, and you have a nice, safe environment to develop and deploy from. Once you know what CMS you're using, it's really important to get a hosting provider that has the tools, the systems, and the experience to help support you that complement your CMS. Caching is another big slower downer. Not like caching in chips at a casino or like geocaching in the forest. The word cache is a verb that means to store away in hiding or for future use. In website terms, that means storing a bunch of data in the background so that when a user loads a page, it'll load super quickly for them. If the page wasn't cached, then the user would have to wait for all the page data to generate and download much, much slower. Depending on which CMS you're using, there are a number of really great caching plugins and tools available for you to try and use. If you're on WordPress, you might want to consider using a premium plugin like WP Rocket or a free one like WP Supercache. Drupal users, you're a little bit luckier because Drupal has some pretty great caching tools built right into it. Another factor to consider when thinking about caching is, again, your hosting provider. Some hosts like SiteGround, Bluehost, or Pantheon, again, offer their own caching tools that help improve your site speeds. Lastly, for today, let's take a look at your content. So there's only so much stuff that you can put in front of someone before they get totally, totally overwhelmed. So making sure that you're keeping your clutter down isn't only a great UX consideration, but it's also a great way to improve on your page speeds. I mean, simply less things to load, less load time. That's simple. And take a look at the content on your site through the filter of less, but better. A good place to start is image optimization. All too often, I'll be going through somebody's blog or reading posts or just scrolling through their website, and I'll see an image that was uploaded at absolutely full, uncompressed size. Like, we're talking 10 megabyte images that take 5-6 seconds to load. Nobody wants that. So it's really important that you try and keep that down as low as you can. Try aiming for under 500 kilobytes if possible. You can do this by using tools like Photoshop or free programs like GIMP, or there's a myriad of online photo editing stuff out there these days like Canva, which are great solutions to load an image in, shrink it down, save it out, and then it's good for your website. It's all about finding the balance between quality and compression. Secondly, you're going to want to take a look at your pages and ask yourself, what's the goal of each page I have? Each page should have a clear goal or a single action you want a user to perform. Like, for instance, signing up to a newsletter or signing up to pre-order a product. If you're trying to show somebody everything that your business does all in one page, all at once, it's going to be extremely overwhelming for them, and they're not even going to be able to decide what to do, so they're just going to leave the page. So one page, one goal. Just keep it simple. Ink is really expensive, but on the web, colors are free, so it's really easy to go crazy with your colors, especially on on things you want people to click, like buttons or links or images, things like that. But by breaking standard design practices, by using a bunch of these flashy colors all over the place, and not adhering to these, not adhering to A, your brand standards, or B, standard design practices, you're introducing what's called cognitive load to your users. When a user's loaded up cognitively, that basically just means that their brain is full and there's no more room for thinking to happen. So if you're not using a clear hierarchy of colors, for instance, all your accept buttons are one color and all your error buttons are another color, it's going to be very confusing for your users to try and navigate through your site. Anything beyond a single color for regular text or links, ask yourself, do I really need this? So there's a few things that Cheeky Monkey can do to help you out. If some of this stuff seems like, if some of this seems a little daunting and you're not too sure where your site needs some room for improvement, one thing that we offer are our site audits. So basically our experts can come in, take a look at your website, and there's something like 200 or 300 different points of information that we look at. I'm not entirely sure, just hundreds and hundreds of points of information. Things like checking if your CMS cache is turned on, if your CSS and JS aggregation are on, if your plugins are up to date, if your CMS is up to date. Just tons of different information points so that you can get an absolutely clear, comprehensive view of exactly what's going on with your website, what can change, what's good, and just where you need some help or what you can tackle yourself. Another thing that we offer are our maintenance packages. So with our maintenance packages, we provide discounted rush rates for all work, bug fixes within 30 days of that work. We respond to your requests within a single business day. But more than just the back-end website maintenance that we can help you with, we can also help with things like marketing services, graphic design, content writing, branding, just a whole bunch more than just back-end website maintenance. We have 3 different levels of maintenance packages, and if you'd like to learn more about that, you can reach out to us afterwards. But for now, those are sort of the kind of high-level tools and tips that you should be taking a look at for trying to maintain your own website. And I'm going to open up the chat window here and just see if there's any questions. If anybody's got any comments or questions, things they'd like to ask, or if there's anything you need me to clear up or that Rick can help chime in on from the more technical side, that'd be great. So Bruno's asking, is one CMS perceived to be more secure than another? For example, Drupal versus WordPress.
Well, that's a good question. I think that the perception is that Drupal is more secure because it's had less hacks, but I think a lot of that has to come to do with the market share. So WordPress powers so much of the web right now, about 30% of the web is their latest numbers, which means that it's a lot more worthwhile to try to hack into a WordPress site because you get more options. Drupal is down, I think, in the 7 or 8% range. Both of them are very, very quick at finding security vulnerabilities and putting out the upgrades. So I think both are great solutions, but yeah, if I was actually, you're going to force me to hold a gun to me and say which one's more secure, I would probably go with Drupal as we sit today. Mm-hmm. The other thing is WordPress has so many more plugins. A lot of people think that the vulnerabilities come from the core CMS. Most of the time it comes from the add-ons. The add-ons that you get from the community may not have been written quite as well as the core was. So that's something to be well aware of as well. There's a price that comes to using open source since you're paying for it.
Yeah, that's a great point. Especially with a CMS like WordPress with a ton of these different plugin options, it can be really easy to install plugins and even forget that you have some and then have overlapping functionalities, and that can cause a whole other lack of compatibility issues. So Neil asks, regarding image optimization, how do you rate the WordPress built-in image optimization? Is it good enough for simple projects?
For inline images, for sure. And what I mean by that, ones that go for in the middle of content. Sometimes we're looking at maybe some of these big sliders that, homepage sliders or background images that are still too big. So it really kind of depends where those images are. But yeah, if it's actually being handled through the WordPress WYSIWYG, it does a great job of optimizing them already. There's actually another one, I'm trying to think the name of it. It's a JPEG compressor, I believe it's called. Another really good plugin that does an even better job than the CMS. So yeah, it's good though, depending on, again, volume of the site.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Thanks for the question, Neil. Alex asks, what is a CDN?
It's a content delivery network. So it's, again, how some of these bigger networks have servers closer to you is one way of doing it. They also have a little bit of caching that goes on with that. It's very, very geeky.
Yeah.
To be perfectly honest with you, we'd be happy to get more information out to those that are really interested in the CDN and exactly how that affects your website. It's not a one-off answer, but if you think of how servers are positioned throughout the world, that also has a load on how your website gets positioned. So one that's closer to where your content or where your audience is trying to get your content is always better.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like if you're sending Amazon packages out, you're going to want to send it from the closest depot, right?
The closest warehouse.
Exactly. Yeah, you're not going to want to ship it from your European warehouse across the street. So, yeah, awesome, cool. Thanks for the comments, Neil. It's great to hear. We're I'm not going to lie, we're totally nervous going into this thing, just being the first one I've ran, but we'll definitely be keeping you guys in the loop, letting you know when the next ones are, and keep sharing this knowledge with you all so that we can, just keep making the web development community and the small business world a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Awesome. So, oh no, I have one there. I had my Porky Pig slide.
There you go. Nice. Very nice.
Yeah. All right. So that's all, folks. Thank you so much for coming. Really appreciate all you guys taking the time out of your day to come and hear and listen to what we have to say. And we'll send out an email afterwards to all y'all with some contact info and everything. And we'd love if you stay in touch, follow us on social. We're really active on Twitter, so feel free to reach out with us on there and get the conversation going. But yeah, hope you all have a great rest of your Tuesday and a great rest of your week. And tell somebody something nice about themselves today. All right. Have a good one.